Hi, I'm Regina Faridnia. I'm a psychotherapist based in the Sacramento, California area. I've been a brain spotter at this point for about 4 years, and I am also EMDR certified and also have training in somatic experiencing. I've created this video today just to cover some of the techniques that I have found helpful when someone comes into the office and they are feeling highly activated, or before we start brain spotting, or maybe at the end of session just for some grounding, if, for co-regulating, and I'll do it along with the client. If I hear from a client that says that they, have had a really rough week with a lot of anxiety and, you know, haven't been able to bring it down on their own. So we'll do some co-regulating activities together. So they get to practice it in real time with me and get to bring the intensity down. So some of those brain hacks that I tend to use, I will share them here in this video. So one of them goes like this. You take and you lace your hands together and you place your hands behind your head. It's like cradling the back of your head, and then you'll notice that your thumbs are kind of underneath. So you use the thumbs to massage that area where your upper neck meets your skull, that area where the oxytocin gets secreted and where your vagus nerve is located, the top part of it. You might notice some tension there, and just calmly, slowly massaging. You can do this together with your client, and you might notice they're going to comment about, how relaxing it feels for them. That's a good one to do for a couple of minutes. And then moving into another one that lots of people find helpful is just it's a hold. And at these times with, going through COVID and lots of crises in our world, in our environment, in our country, there's lots of stress and angst around that. So here's a good hold for that, or for just whatever person may be dealing with at present time. So one hand can go behind the neck and the other hand on the chest. Because a lot of times what clients report is just that anxiety feeling right here. So this one can help with that. If they told me maybe that they're having more stress in the front of their head, I might have them place the other hand here instead. So this is another hold that kind of can help tap into that vagus nerve response and help the client to feel calmer. And I might do these activities kind of as a meditation, kind of moving from one into another as we're doing right now with the video. So, so another way to bring in some parasympathetic response is to take the tongue and stick it to the roof of the mouth. And so I usually say, like, there's peanut butter up there and or glue at the top of your roof of your mouth. So placing the tongue up there. And then next, relaxing the tongue and letting it just fall to the bottom of the mouth and just melt there. And what they might notice is just a little more saliva, and also in their pelvic girdle and legs, just a little bit more relaxation starts to come in. So that's a really good one. And then you can even combine it with another exercise that comes from Brain Gym, where you take your right hand and cross over your left and lace your fingers together, and then pull it inwards like this. And then take your left foot over your right foot and cross your ankles as well at the same time. And take a slow deep breath. And again, this is a good time when, as you're doing this, to place your tongue on the roof of your mouth and then for a couple of seconds, and then let it melt to the bottom of your mouth. So it's a really nice way to bring some relaxation in. Another thing that can be helpful Sometimes with anxiety, there's a sense of just not feeling safe at all. And sometimes our systems just aren't feeling safe because you know, even though we know outside of us is safe, we're not having a physical experience of that because maybe there's a flashback from the past, even though we're not getting images, our body is remembering it not being safe. So one thing that we can try with that is to take your hands and extend them, and I'll just show you from here, but both hands would be fully extended. And the fingers, we're not going to look at the fingers. Our head is actually going to be forward, but we're going to wiggle the fingers so that you can see the fingers wiggling in our peripheral vision. So we may have the client to notice the fingers wiggling in the periphery. And then also imagine behind them that, the space behind them, the space between themselves and the sofa, or between themselves and the wall behind them. And this just gives a sense of safety. It lets the body know that there's nothing in my periphery, that, 3 feet away from me, that I'm safe. There's no predator there. So even though a person might not be thinking there is, their body might have that experience of something being in the periphery that's unsafe. Also, just, gently placing the hand in a place where, there's a sense of intensity. So another place that's real common is in the gut or in the heart area. You can have one hand on the heart and one hand on the gut at the same time. And that can be really grounding. So that's just another way, another technique, just to kind of quickly tap into the self and bring down some of that higher intensity that's been there. And then just at the same time, slowing the breathing. Nice and slow like that. A last one that I will use, that I'll show, and many may already be familiar with it, but it comes from EMDR, is just the bilateral tapping. Just the slow bilateral tapping. And this can also bring down that intensity that might have revved up, and just be able to bring the person into present moment, a little more grounded place. And then once they're in that more present place, from there, then they might be more ready. And surprisingly, when they first came into the room, the intensity was so high, it might have seemed like it would be hard to move into doing some of the trauma work because the person is already at such a high intensity. But once they've had a chance to ground and bring themselves in the present moment, then you could, move into some resource spotting, some expansion, things that it might have not felt like in the beginning when they first came in the session. It might have felt hard to move into, but when from this embodied place that the person might have not felt capable of, or they might have seemed very on edge coming into the session. Once they get into this place where the body is, able to be embodied, to be focused, to be a little more centered, then there's space that you can actually do some really important work in that session, and not just these are like brain hacks. So it happens so quickly that then there's more space to move into something else, versus focusing in that activation area and spending a lot of time to bring it down. These are, I would say, brain hacks to help bring it down quickly. And it also, the client will have the experience of some self-efficacy in that they were a part of bringing it down themselves. All they had to do was work with their own nervous system. And so it's, just that healing through the body, and in a thorough and quick way, and then it allows us to move into that more grounded space, and then maybe there's some ability to move into an even deeper healing place from there. But this is a way to kind of to shift and be ready for it in a session where someone comes in highly dysregulated, for example, or maybe they've come in and we've worked with them for a bit, and then at the end of session there's still some level of intensity, and we want to offer it as a way to just have some additional grounding. So I hope this has been helpful. Thank you, and have a good day.